Students. In last video we was discussed about what is meant by runtime environment and what is meant by storage organization. So in this video we discuss about stack allocation of space. So that means how to allocating the space for the stack space by using the stack allocation. So in this stack allocation of space can be explained with the help of activation trees, activation records, and calling sequences and variable length data on the stack. So now we discuss about activation trees. So here, while we are going to implementing the stack allocation for space, so in this process, so here stack allocation would not be possible. So here the stack allocation will be not possible whenever the activation of procedures did not nest in time. So that means, so here whenever we are using the different procedures, those different procedures are not in proper nest in order. At that time we are not able to implementing the stack allocation for those procedures. In case those procedures are allocated or arranged in some nesting order, some nested order, then we can properly implement the stack memory allocation for those procedures. So now we consider some example. So in this example, we are using the two procedures. Those two procedures are properly nested. So those two procedures is known as P and Q. Procedure P and procedure Q. So here procedure P is the main procedure and their sub procedure is Q. So that means here first initially invokes the procedure P and then procedure P was invokes the procedure Q. So that means here Q is the sub procedure or sub function of the function P. So in this process, so we are using basically three types of common cases or three types of common procedure, common activations of those procedures. So those are, first one is the activation of Q terminates normally. So here the activation of Q can be ended normally. So that means whenever procedure P was initiated or invoked, then it calls the procedure Q and then procedure Q was completes their functionality. After completion of their functionality, it was terminated normally. After that, procedure P was terminated normally. So that means in this situation, both functions or both procedures are terminated normally. But in this process, whenever going to end of the procedure P, before must be procedure Q can be ended. So that means first procedure Q can be ended. After completion of procedure Q, then only procedure P can be terminated. Why? Because here procedure P is the main function or first function and Q is the their sub function. So that's why before termination of the main function, sub function can be terminated first. So this is the first situation. And the next situation is the activation of Q. So that means the activation of procedure Q aborts either directly or indirectly. So that means that particular procedure or function Q can be terminated directly by the procedure Q or indirectly by the procedure Q. And third situation is the activation of Q is terminated because of an exception. So that exception cannot handle by the procedure Q. So at that time procedure Q was aborted or terminated, but procedure P can able to handle that exception, then procedure P can be continues their execution. So these are the three common situations whenever we are handling the functions or activation trees. So now we consider some example how to invoke or how to nested the multiple procedures. So here this algorithm or this program is just sketch of the quicksort program, not entire program. Just this program represents main intention is just how we are invoking or we are nested two functions or multiple functions in proper manner. For that purpose we discuss this program, not for implementing the quicksort. Just we use or where we are using these activation tree of procedures in real time. So here the execution was starts from the main function. So whenever main function was started, before starting the main function, it can declares or it can declares some global variable that is int a of 11. So here a is a array variable, their type is integer. So first declares that particular variable and start the main function execution. So once start the main function execution, it invokes the some procedure or some function, that is read array. Read array function can be invoked. So when read array function is invoked, then the compiler can move to the this function, read array function. So in this it can declare the one more variable I and then perform the reading of their integer values from 1 to 9 location. That means a of 1 to a of 9 location. That means it can reach the 9 integer values and then return those 9 integer values to the main function. So now the main function actually totally 11 integer entries was created. Out of those 11 entries, it can reach 9 values. Those are from a of 1 to a of 9. So that's why a of 0 and a of 10 can be declared as some some garbage values. So and then here a of 1 to 9 was stored with whatever the values was provided by the read array function. So after that, so here we calling the quicksort function with parameter values or arguments as 1, 9. So these 1, 9 values can be passed into the quicksort function. So now quicksort function can be invoked. Then compiler can move to quicksort function. So here those 1, 9 can be passed into this function as m value is 1 and n value is 9. So now we declare the one more variable I and check the condition n greater than m is valid or not. Here n value is 9 and m value is 1. So that's why condition is valid. So here quicksort function treated as the function p. So here whenever that condition is valid, then entered into the next line of the instruction, that is I equal to partition of m comma n. So here partition function is the sub function within quicksort function, just like q. So previously we discussed p and q are two functions. P is the main function and q is the sub function. In this way here partition is the sub function within quicksort function. So here m comma n values is whatever the values collected by the stored in the quicksort function 1, 9. Those values can be passed into the partition function. So now compiler can move to partition function and pass the arguments m value and n value as 1, 9. So in this partition function main purpose is calculating the mid value. So that is nothing but that is calculated by using some formula, lower bound plus higher bound by 2. So that is 1 plus 9 by 2. So that is 10 by 2. So the mid value is 5. So those 5 can be written by the partition function to quicksort function. So that means here Q procedure Q was terminated. After that procedure P will be started. So here procedure Q or partition function can return value as 5. So now I value is 5 and now we perform the quicksort function, that is m comma I minus 1. Here m value is 1 and I value is 5, minus 1 means 4. So that means 1 comma 4 will be passed into the quicksort function. So that means here m value is 1 and n value is 4. So again we declare some I value, integer value declared, and next we check the condition n greater than m. So here n value is 4 and m value is 1. So it is true. So that's why again we calculate the partition, that means mid value. So that is 1 comma 4. So these two values passed into the partition function. Here it calculates the mid value, that is 1 plus 4 by 2 is 3. So it returns 3. So now quicksort function can be performed with 1 comma 3. So in this manner it can perform partitioning the total 9 entries for the quicksort function. So by using these two functions, quicksort function and partition function, here quicksort function is treated as the p function and partition function is treated as the q function. So now we observe how these two functions can be handled different situations in this program. And next, so this is the process of partitioning the those 9 elements to performing the quicksort. First we pass the 1 comma 9 values. So then here main function treated as the p, that means this is the quicksort function of 1 comma 9. It invokes the sub function partition function of 1 comma 9. It calculates the 1 plus 9 by 2, that is 5. So here 5 is the mid value. their left side is their left side partitions is performed by these functions, and their right side of partitions is performed by these functions. So those are the details about activation trees. So now we discuss about activation records. So whenever we are using the procedure calls, and those procedure calls are obviously return some values. So these values can be stored at a stack in runtime. So this runtime stack memory is also called as the control stack. So here in this control stack, each live activation, that means activation of each and every procedure or every function, is treated as a one activation record. So this activation record contains several contents. So these activation record contents can be varied based on the programming language. So that means whatever the programming language was implemented, that particular program or that particular source program. So based on this programming language, these activation record contents will be varied. For example, we consider some activation record. So this activation record contains several contents. Those are temporaries, local data, saved mission status, access links, control link, return values, actual parameters. Now we discuss what is meant by each and every one. So here temporary values means those are whatever the values was used at the time of evaluating the expressions in the source program. So those evaluation of expressions can be, so that means whenever we are evaluating that particular expression, those values can be temporarily stored into some variables. So those variables or those values is known as the temporary values. These temporary values are not stored in the register memory. So some temporary memory only. Next, local data means nothing but whenever we are using the several procedures or several functions, each function can use some data to complete their functionality or their function. So whatever the data used by each and every function, so such data is treated as a local data to that particular function only. And next, saved mission status means, so while we are going to invoking the any function, before invokes or before starts with that particular function calls or procedure calls, it take the status of that particular mission. So that status is used to retrieve. So in case that particular function aborts abnormally, at that time to restore to the older values. For that purpose, we take the what is the current status of that particular mission. And next, access links. So here access links means whenever any function, whenever any procedure call wants to accessing their data, so that is especially called functions. Called functions wants to accessing their data. So such data is created with access links. That means that particular function, so that particular data is originally not available in that particular memory location. Why? Because that particular data is provided by their subfunction. So that's why this access link was access to their subfunction data. So that means here original data is not stored in that particular memory location. The required data is stored by their subfunction memory location. Here control link is means nothing but which can pointing or which provides the whatever the data related to the caller function. And next, here space for the return values. So that means these return values, these all are the this is the providing some memory space. This memory space provides the to store the whatever the several return values by those called functions. So these called functions return some values. Those return values can be stored in this memory location. And final thing is the actual parameters. So this one actual parameters. So these actual parameters can store the whatever the information provided by the calling functions. So these are the various fields in activation record. Now we consider some example how we can performing this stack allocation space for procedures in downgrading approach. So here this is a program. This program related stack memory allocation can be explained here. So here whenever we are using the main function, the main function related activation record is this one. So that means here initially we are creating the memory allocation for int a of 11. So here integer a of 11. So this is the memory allocation for a of 11. and then we invoke the main and then we start the main function. So this is the frame for activation record for main function. So once we start the void read array functions, then what is the activation record for this function means, so this one. So till now already we create the 11 integer values for a, and then call the main function, and then we are invoking the void read array function. So within read array function we are again declare the integer variable I. So that's why here we are declaring here it can allocate the memory space for that particular integer variable. So whenever we are using the quicksort function, so those function or those procedure related memory frame or activation record is this one. So till now starting with int a of 11, and then starts the main function, and then starts the void read array function. Within this we are declaring the integer I. So and then we are calling the quicksort function. So that's why here first integer a of 11 and main function, and then within quicksort function we are using the int m comma n. So that's why here we provide the space for those m comma n, and then it passes those m comma n can be passed to arguments, those are 1 comma 9. So that's why q of 1 comma 9. So within this we are again creating this some integer variable. So this is that integer variable. So this is the activation record for this function. So after completion of the partition function, so whatever the memory space or memory activation record for this particular partition function is this one after completion of entire program. So initially we are passing 1 comma 9 values. After that it can calculate the mid value, and again performing the sorting in left side. So that entire thing related activation record is this one. So initially starts with the int a of 11 and main function, and then start the quicksort function with the m comma n values and pass those arguments as 1 comma 9, and we are declaring some integer I, and then we check that particular condition. After that we are invoking the partition function. Within this partition function again we are declaring the integer m comma n. So that's why here which is the space for those integer values. After that we are calculating the mid value, and then passing 1 comma 4, that is 5 minus 1 4 to the partition function. So within this again we calculate the 4 minus 1, that is we calculate the mid value, that is 1 plus 4 by 2, that is 3. So that's why q of 1 comma 3. So after that it creates this some integer declaration. So this is the activation record for partition function after returning the q of 1 comma 3. So these are the details about what is meant by activation tree and what is meant by activation records. So in next video we can discuss